Well, we've made it to the end of another season, the end of the Dark Avengers season. We've got about 14 hours left in the season, which means you've got 14 hours left to spend your in real life money to get the season pass and pick up the card Iron Patriot if you think it is worth it. Or this is also a good way to decide if once he leaves the season pass and enters the token shop, if he is worth spending your tokens on. Let's get into it and review the card. I will say some exciting things happening. We have the trailer that was released, so we know all the details about the upcoming season. I've been waiting for that. So we will have the Keys Decisions video coming right after this, where I talk about how I'm spending my resources in the coming season, what cards I'm planning on getting, and other cool details about the season, which there are a lot. I found out something tonight, like right before I hit record in OBS, that will work, that will save me so much time in editing, which is fantastic. So I'm stoked to talk about Iron Patriot, which I will say, just like on a note of the season pass in general, I particularly think that the season pass is pretty valuable for what you pay. But this month in specific, if you pay for the season pass, you always get the season pass card and then 2 variants. So like, as an example, next season, you're getting Sam Wilson Captain America, and then you're getting a variant for Steve Rogers, the regular Captain America we already have, and then Falcon, which we already have. So, which those are both like Series 2 or Series 3 cards. So like, not a big deal. Well, this season, one of those variants that you got was for Dawkins, which is a Series 4 card. Some people already have Dawkins, so it's not that meaningful. The variant is fine, whatever. But if you don't have Dawkins and what you're looking for, whatever, this season in particular is valuable because you get a Series 5 card in Iron Patriot and a Series 4 card in Dawkins. Nonetheless, let's just talk about the card and talk about the data first. This is from Untapped. It's for the last month, so the whole season. It's sitting at a popularity rate of 29.8% and a win rate of 52% with a positive cube rate of 0.1, so just barely a positive cube rate. And I think that's just because people played Iron Patriot everywhere. Like, it's really, really popular. As far as Untapped goes, they also rank their cards by tiers as their performance, and they ranked Iron Patriot as the #1 tier A card, so like the best card of the season. Not the newest cards, like all cards in the game, Iron Patriot was the #1 card to them. And I think this cube rate doesn't necessarily convince that, but adjusting that for how much people played Iron Patriot and how it was in a lot of situations, it couldn't have been, people who are bad at the game or playing for one or whatever, like all the things that take that data down. I still think that it's a phenomenal card. The data speaks to that. The data is kind of meaningless to me, though, because Untapped is so specific. If you're not in the Discord and you watch these YouTube videos, there are so many YouTubers who take data from various sources, from Marvel Snap Zone, from Untapped, whatever it may be. And something that was really interesting in the answers that the devs give in the Discord is someone was using statistics from Marvel Snap Zone. They said like, oh, such and such card is, 37% of the meta, and such card is this. And in the response, they said our internal data is obviously way more vast than third-party data tracking, because third-party data tracking, those users have to opt into that data tracking in some way, where when you just play Marvel Snap, your data of the game is collected. And they said something interesting, that no card has ever crossed 25% of the meta. There's no card that's ever done that. So according to Untapped, this is at 29%. So it's just interesting, like the data has always just kind of felt irrelevant to me, but it does speak to it's a good card and people are playing it and it's worth playing. Let's move on and give my rating for it. This is supposed to be updated. Whoops, forgot to update that. I did not spend keys on this. I spent my real money, my hard-earned money, to make videos about Marvel Snap. What is life? But it's also just a great card. It's fun to play. I enjoy the game, and so I'm happy to support it and benefit from playing this cool card because it truly is a 5-star card. I had that it potentially could. I was going to say 4 stars, but I just don't think that the reason that I say that is because it reminds me of Kate Bishop, where for the longest time, and even still, Kate Bishop is just like a go-to 2-drop. Obviously, there are specific decks that Kate Bishop fits in extremely well, but in other situations, it's like, I'm looking for a good 2-drop in my deck. Kate Bishop is usually one of those cards on the list, the same way that like Jeff is. And I feel Iron Patriot is the same way, where he's like a different version of Kate Bishop in that what he does isn't too powerful, that it breaks the game because you have to win the location, that type of thing. But it speaks to the impact that cards have like Kate Bishop when they give you options. The reason that cards like Cable or Coulson or Nick Fury are particularly impactful in Airshim is that they give you options, right? Iron Patriot is something that gives you options potentially at a discounted cost. So even if you aren't running a Victoria Hand deck, it's still just a good card to include because let's say you don't draw into your 6 drop that you wanted to play. Well, you potentially got a good 4, 5, or 6 drop from Iron Patriot, giving you more options and more reliability. It really is truly a good card, even if you play it at full price without discounting it. I will say that continually, Mobius continues to be a card that is just underutilized. I was playing Conquest today, which, it was Infinite Conquest Game 5, so it was a little sweaty, not a little, a lot sweaty. And so people are teching a lot harder in there than they do in ladder, I think. And Mobius was everywhere, and it was working very well against me. So yeah, I think it's a phenomenal card. That is my rating. I enjoyed playing it. Believe it or not, I thought this was pretty astonishing. I pulled up my season recap for the season, and apparently I was not expecting this because I actually moved, I started playing other things without Iron Patriot, but apparently I played him 423 times this season. So yeah, it's a card that can go many places. I was experimenting him with many places and also just having fun with him. It's just a fun card to play, and there's many times where I'm like, hey, I'm just building a deck. Let me just include Iron Patriot because it's a good card, and the data is worth it. I will also say I am getting hammed by the game here. As you can see, I upgraded Penny Parker 40 times. She was already upgraded multiple times, and I still don't have a Craggle split. I don't even have an ink split yet. I have a gold split, just one. My goodness. And apparently Man Thing's a big deal. Anyway, I thought maybe I'll include, in my season recap something about the and then Shadow King, which I don't even remember playing. Wow, that really surprised me. So, yeah, obviously, back to the card. It's a pretty impactful card, and very, very worth it. So let's get into the decks. If you do have Iron Patriot, you're looking for decks to include him. What I did is I went to Untapped. Again, the data is whatever it is. And I sorted by rank 90 to Infinite and beyond for the whole month, sorted by win rate. So these are the decks with the highest win rate. And number 1 was Airshim, and it's a pretty straightforward Airshim deck. It's an Airshim deck with all the things that I hate to go against an Airshim, like Legion and Doctor Doom and Red Guardian and Iron Patriot and all those tech cards. So, yeah, Airshim. The next one is a Wiccan Shell, which was kind of what it was in from day one with Victoria Hand. Interesting to me that this one has moved on from Victoria Hand. It's just Iron Patriot. Even though it has cards like Maria Hill and Hawkeye Kate Bishop, it's not a Victoria Hand deck. I mean, maybe it would benefit from it, but not really. You're mainly using those cards to help you curve out Wiccan appropriately. But it's interesting to me that in Iron, you would think that the two would go hand in hand. And then the next one is Surtur, which we have kind of see pop off a ton in the last week with Ares. So I'm curious, this isn't really an Iron Patriot deck. It's just that Iron Patriot's a good card, so he's included in this deck, and that this is a strong deck that wins a lot. So the next one, also all these deck codes are in the description. The next one is a Dark Hawk deck, which again, was the Ares thing. So this week, this was a popular one with Dark Hawk and Rock Slide and Korg and Cassandra Nova, right? And winning that battle that way with Ares, right? We've reviewed all that with Ares, but again, Iron Patriot just included because Iron Patriot's a good card. But next we have Galacta deck, which kind of surprised me. It's just a pretty straightforward deck. Just a lot of tech cards and Galacta, which is a good card, Hawkeye, which is a good card, and Captain Marvel, which is also a good card, and Iron Patriot, right? It's just tech cards and then good cards, like Galacta, which is interesting that it would perform so well. But again, those games, that's pretty few games for a whole month. Next we have Zola, which this one at first I thought was oh, that's cool that this is probably just people at a lower collection level because I included all levels. But then you have a lot of Series 5 cards with Hawkeye, Iron Patriot, Victoria Hand, Rocket and Groot. I think Gladiator is a Series 4. Galacta is a Series 5, right? So, it kind of is an earlier, lower collection level. Maybe someone who just recently joined the game and they got some new cards with compensation. I don't know what it is, but this was the last thing I expected to see on this list. But, that good old Black Panther Arnim Zola line is just tried and true. So, maybe we just need to go back to basics. Which I will say, I sent a message in my Alliance Discord today. I was playing a game against someone who's collection level 600 and something. And so I took a screenshot and was going to joke like, oh, this isn't fair. You know, I'm collection level 10,000. And they whooped my butt. They just dunked on me really simply with just a good ongoing Spectrum deck. They didn't even play Spectrum, but, you know. So sometimes it's the simple things that really work. Moving on to the next one, Annoying Hand is what I called it. And I played this one in particular. Not all 310 games are mine, but I had an 82% win rate with this. Again, that's just on desktop, so playing it on my phone would decrease that quite a bit. But really, really strong. I have loved, and I'll talk about this in a second, I love the hood with Victoria Hand. And it's cool to see Victoria Hand here. I think Victoria Hand is already like leaving the meta, and she shouldn't. She's a great card. But yeah, really cool deck. Also, Sasquatch being a really surprising, great card here. Like, again, people talk about this. I've talked about it before. My goodness, Sasquatch is a card that is just slept on. Like, Scar is obviously extremely impactful, but it's a lot of work to get him discounted. You can get Sasquatch discounted pretty easily, especially with cards like Iron Patriot and Hawkeye and the Hood and Mirage. Like, you're getting inexpensive cards generated from those, so Sasquatch can be played inexpensively. But yeah, this was a fun deck that I sadly had to delete because there's not enough deck space in Marvel Snap, which is disappointing, but very, very fun deck that I would come back to immediately. And then last week, we have my deck that, as you can see, I was just at a 52% win rate, again, just from playing on my PC. That's not a great win rate, like just above average. I played it a lot more on my phone and had a ton of fun with it and won a lot more, but also lost a lot. The reason that it's called miserably fun is because it's just fun. Like, it's just kind of ridiculous to play the Hood and Electro and Misery in one location, right? My favorite was the Hood, Mirage, Electro, and Misery, right? To go in that order, the Hood, Mirage, Electro, Misery, which that's just very, very greedy. But it's very fun, and it was like my way of having a Wiccan, because I don't have Wiccan. But it was also just a lot of fun. Really, really had a great time with this deck. So to the end of the video, yes, as you can see here on the screen, I do think Iron Patriot is worth it. I think this is... don't get me wrong, I'm stoked for next season. Extremely excited for it, because if you watch my video where my random thoughts on the meta, whatever that video was called, it matches that play style a little bit more, where it's less just play a good card, play another good card. Like, there's more thinking and there's more strategy and there's more, you know, there's a little bit more of a standoff, as somebody said in the comments, which I think was a perfect description. So all that being said, I think Iron Patriot is significantly stronger as a season pass card than the upcoming Sam Wilson Captain America. I think it's an even stronger card than Surtur. It's a stronger card than Agent Venom. Like, to me, it's up there with Kate Bishop, which is one of the best season pass cards we've ever had. Kate Bishop and Galacta, I would say. Like, those are the three that I'm holding up there, and Iron Patriot is one of them. So, absolutely, I think Iron Patriot is a card that is worth your resources, whether that is your real-life resources in the next 14 hours or eventually your in-game resources when he shows up in your token shop as a Series 5 card. Anyway, I appreciate you all watching. Stay tuned for the Keys Decisions video and all about the details next season. I personally think it's going to be a really, really fun season. Even if it's a weak season, I think it's very fun. Anyway, thanks for watching. Appreciate y'all.